and always trying to build future owners and entrepreneurs in our community. We really appreciate that. This month, as many of you know, is Financial Literacy Month. In Delta, we call it Financial Fortitude Month. But either way, we want to definitely take the opportunity to provide tools and resources when we can to our community about things to help improve our financial health and to build wealth for this generation and for the generations after us. It's particularly important to Delta and to the Corpus Christi Black Chamber of Commerce, we feel, because we know that historically these types of opportunities have been denied to people of color, particularly African Americans. So now that there are so many more resources and so much more information available, we think we should share and people should take advantage of it. And we really have the benefit of having people and experts who work in these fields now that look like us, who can really share this information and make sure that we're utilizing it as much as possible. So that's really the goal of this program. You're going to hear from experts and people who will give you tools and keys and advice to securing things like home ownership, if you're thinking about owning a business, entrepreneurship, financial planning through investments, real estate, insurance, and even some information for young adults, college students who are just starting out, so that they can really be aware of their financial health and literacy as they embark on their lives as adults, which I'm just going to say for myself, I definitely could have used back when I was entering college. So we just hope that everybody enjoys, really take advantage of the information, and really, while the experts are here and they're giving this advice, really take the opportunity to glean tips and advice from them. Ask them questions, let them know what you're curious about. That is why they're here. And we really want to thank all of the people who will be serving on our panels today for really giving up their free time to make sure that the community can have advantage of these resources. So if we could give them a round of applause. Well, I don't want to hold this up any further, so I'm going to start by introducing our morning keynote speaker. We're excited to have Omar Davis. He's the president of Crash Bell. He is the founder of Crash Bell, a health education company focusing on human anatomy, medical soft tissue treatment, mental health, and emotional wellness. He had a sports rehab, medical massage therapy practice in New York City for more than 7 years, where he learned that tension was caused by stress and trapped emotions. Imagine that. From there, he created a kids' anatomy and social emotional learning curriculum, teaching kids and teachers how to tune into their bodies and how they feel. And as a meditation practitioner, he focuses on heart awareness and inner child connections, helping people heal through their own inner wisdom and inner guidance. So again, if we could please welcome Omar Bell as our speaker.
Good day, everyone. How are you?
Yeah.
Don't mind my coffee. I had a long day yesterday. I'm struggling. But I'm still going to give you my full attention as I'm here, because it is important that we, as a community, really understand what it is that we have been put in. And to start this off, I'm just going to hit with the real heavy hitter. Everything has been propagated against us. Let's just be 1,000% honest with the system that we live in. Yeah. So the information, the knowledge has all been withheld specifically to keep us in a specific loop and cycle. Now, this loop and cycle, we like to call it poverty these days. But this has been happening for us for quite some time. And I think it's moved more than poverty, because it has affected our mental health. It has affected our communities and our cultures and how we behave. And one of the things that most of us sometimes don't want to admit for the culture is that we have a lot of PTSD within our communities, period. And I've had countless arguments with many of Black folks all around the nation, defending some of our cultural norms and some of our cultural habits that actually stem from trauma. So in order for us to move through this trauma, we have to actually undo some of these cultural norms, some of these things that have actually been instilled in us from being oppressed. So no more excuses these days. We have to be accountable for shifting our cultures and for shifting our neighborhoods. And people like myself and everyone that you're going to be listening to today are going to be key players and how that looks. Because the future is something that we have to start working at right now. You know, this is why I work with the kids, because working with the kids helps them to then know more about what it is they are, who they are, and also more about the faculties of our body. Now, one of the things that I would like to jump on before I get into the how wealth and stress and trauma all go together is the aspect of how are you, right? Like, are we asking ourselves daily, how am I? Or are we just in the rat race?
Rat race.
Rat race, right? And so the rat race itself is a loop. It's a traumatic loop. If you ever seen a hamster on a wheel, where are you going? They're using how much energy? All of it, right? So this is what we're experiencing in our culture right now in this specific nation. And not necessarily in this nation, because there are other nations that are trying to oppress us. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is we need to start understanding what we are as far as a human species, the human genome. I'm an anatomy guy. I study the anatomy, I teach on the anatomy. And the moment that I learned in my neurology class that neuroplasticity means that you can do anything, learn anything, and accomplish anything as long as you put your full focus and attention on it. Now, I was really upset when I heard that because not everybody that looked like me always said that don't try it, you ain't gonna never be it because you can't do it, so don't even go. And that was a mindset, you know. So from that mindset, I didn't necessarily see my true potential. And the moment that I learned this was the moment in my mind that I started my company, because I said, I gotta tell everyone. What do you mean? Y'all know this in science? You teaching people this in medicine, in medical school, but nobody where I come from know about it. What's that about? And so my goal has been to show you all what you want. So your human anatomy is a very, very intricate system. For one, it's amazing. The way that you're lined up within your brain, how your brain works, is quite amazing. For one, it creates electricity, right? That's amazing. Did you see electricity in the clouds? You're like, ooh, right? Look at the electricity. So what about how it produces in your body with every single moment of your day? When you breathe, electricity. When you lift your hands, electricity. When you think, electricity. And that electricity is moving down your spine to specific areas in your body based on the thought process. If you're stressed out, it's going to go right to that vagus nerve or the solar plexus right here, and it's going to tell all your organs to shut down because we need to get out of there. We think we're in danger. We are being attacked by a lion. That's what your brain is thinking. So it tells all your organs to shut down, and it puts all your blood into your muscles. But let's just say if you are sitting in the kitchen, you know, there's no lion. There's really no stress or no threat, but in your mind, you're stressing and threatening. It's threatening. But the weird thing about the mind is it actually doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So if you have thoughts that are negative, toxic, and habitually traumatizing, then your body thinks that you're physically living that event out right in that moment. So therefore, it is really up to us to also really consciously identify what we are thinking about on a daily basis and where do those thoughts come from. Because a lot of times they're going to come from habitual patterns, trauma from your past, and things that have happened to you that have either avoided any of your needs or made you feel that you were not validated. So when it comes to our community, these two things are happening every day, whether it's within us or within our community. And so it's important for us to understand that the body itself is a really, really intelligent system. And we must understand that if we have the control of our mind, we have the control of our body, we have the control of our health. Because your thoughts will also secrete specific hormones to make you feel that action. Hypertension is caused by cortisol. Hyper, too much. Tension, cortisol. Stress. So whenever us in our community are dealing with the conglomerate that we die mostly from hypertension, because hypertension leads to diabetes, heart disease, lung failure, heart failure, cancer, anything. It started through hypertension because the body actually knows how to heal itself when the mind is not in a constant state of traumatic experience, traumatic thoughts. Let's just say if you're driving down the street, you know, as a black man, and you see a cop behind you, my heart still kind of races. That's the trauma in action. I don't even feel safe in my own car driving down the street. So now I'm like, oh, let me slow down. Oh, God. And now my thoughts are like, oh, if this man pulled me over, what's going to happen? So now I'm actually living in my mind a traumatic experience, which is now causing me tension, cortisol, stress. You know, your heart starts racing, right? Suddenly you get a little sweaty on the steering wheel. And it's only been 4 seconds, right? 4 seconds. Boom. So what we've done is we've actually programmed our body to respond to trauma. We've not programmed our body to respond to relaxation, peace. Because that's not the conditions that we were built in. Now, we have the responsibility to undo these things, specifically by being just aware of who we are. So there's 3 things that's needed, and then I'll go into the financial aspect, how this matters. The things that we need to know, for one, who am I, right? The most important question anybody can ever ask themselves. What am I doing, which is my accountability, my actions? What am I doing to be accountable for myself? How am I treating people? How am I treating myself? And then lastly is, what is my relationship to all that is? You know, spirituality, God. These 3 things are fundamental in the human genome, but our world has taken out the last part, right? They're like, you know, who you are and what you do matters, but, you know, you're not a spirit being. You're not energy. You're not made from atoms, which is only electromagnetic frequencies that are put together based on the balance of their negative and positive poles. No, you're not that. You're simple. You're human. You're limited. But if we look at any of the texts from ancient cultures, the scriptures, it all says that we are children of God. So if that's the case, then why are we taking out in God we trust, right? The spirit part, and why is that not ingrained in our schools, in our corporations? And so when we really look at how this system is set up, it is actually geared to keep not only us, but all people in a system of sympathetic nervous system response, fight or flight. Now let me tell you why this is important for them and terrible to us. Whenever you're in fight or flight, your frontal cortex is not working. Your amygdala fires, which is your emotional center, and it sends all these emotions to your frontal cortex and it says, shut it down, so you have no rational thought. You can't really use your lips because it controls your lips. You can't speak and think of what to say. That's why we always say, don't touch me. You're going to get real mad. You just immediately react because that is your rational brain not able to comprehend all the emotions that you're experiencing, so you're not able to step back and see the big picture. You're not able to step back and realize how this is actually not good for you because you're in a situation where you're only looking to get yourself out of danger. But that can be as simple as having an argument with your spouse or your mom, it doesn't go the way that you want it. It can be that simple. It can be as simple as driving down the street and thinking about what your grandbaby's doing and suddenly you're worried. It can be a point where you are being tailed by a cop, whichever. It can be anything. We all have different things that trigger us, but that's the point, it's the trigger. Now, the reason that taking care of your mind, body, and spirit directly links to wealth and education and understanding around wealth is because going back to that whole frequency thing, the energy of magnetic poles and the atoms and how they work, we are energy. And that is something that's kind of new for a lot of people to hear because whenever we think energy, we think like some new age, like metaphysical focused stuff, but it's actually the science. We're made of only atoms. And atoms are pure energy. And there's a good text in that Yeshua states, have faith in the atom, you move mountains, but you know it is have faith in the mustard seed, because the mustard seed was the smallest. So that was the only way that he could depict this information to the people at that time, but he really meant the atoms. So if you have faith in your own atoms, you can move mountains, you can change the environment, you can completely walk into a room and shift the energy within that room. How many of you ever done that? Or you walk into a room, you're like, I don't know about this room, the energy's crazy in there. That is your intuition. That is that energetic field that we don't like to talk about. But it is real. We know it in science. We like to call it spirit energy. That's technically what it is. It's your spirit body, if you will. But the reason that that lines up with wealth is because your worth will attract and determine your wealth. So when we walk around and we say things like, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, that's not for me, and we have these firm beliefs within our mind, in our hearts, what does that create? It does create a specific energy. And there's been times in my life where I've been on my game, attracted all types of amazing things. God is just blessing, right? But then there's times where I go through like some crazy shift and something happens in my life that throws me off, and now suddenly I'm experiencing a mild depression and everything goes away from me. It's not a curse. It's my energy that I did not manage. I allowed myself to get out of whack. I allowed the external and the things that were happening with other people to affect my spirit. And it threw me off. And therefore, everything fell apart. And therefore, I had to get back into alignment in order to attract these good things. Now, going back to it, when your brain and your mind has made up a firm decision that you cannot have this, every cell in your body will make that cell. And I hope that you guys can hear that. Every cell in your body is listening to you. They'll be like, okay, that's not going to be us. That's what's up. We got you. So this is why you hear positive affirmations a lot these days, right? Because the positive affirmations are telling your cells, we got this. And your cells are like, well, we can do this. But sometimes the affirmation is just the same and you haven't fully believed it yet. So your mind hasn't made up the full construct that this is who you are. So this is how it works. A thought becomes a pattern becomes a habit becomes your character becomes your belief system. So if you can work in this same method to get yourself into a positive mind, and you speak things like, you know what, I'm blessed, I'm abundant, I'm capable, I'm a child of divinity. All these things, over time, your cells will be like, yeah, let's make it happen. Each cell in your body is like a memory chip. Whenever you get a scar, right? The cells of that area is passing on the memory of the previous experience. So therefore, if all your cells in your body are memory chips, what are they passing on? The past, right? And the past, let's just be real, was trauma. So we do have to heal through the trauma. And as an individual and as a community, as we heal through the trauma, we then start to open up our minds to receive information. Especially like, I can do it. Because you'll get insight. This is why whenever she said that helping people to understand that inner wisdom within themselves, you will get insight. When you start to open up your mind to possibilities, suddenly people coming into your life and speaking to you, hey, have you heard about this financial education class? And you're like, what about finances? Because it's meant for you to go check that out. It's meant for you to hear that. It's meant for you to receive that. If you act on it, it's up to you. But one of the main things is poverty, scarcity, and the mindset are all in one line. Like the first time I realized that I didn't have any financial intelligence, and I also had a business at the time, thought I was doing my thing, my mentor helped me to understand that financial intelligence is literature of learning the system. But how you use that system will be based on your emotional intelligence. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, let's say if you have $1 million, get all the groceries, right? You're super excited. But let's say you're so excited, you start just spending on everything. You're not thinking about where the money's going, what's happening with the money. So you're just wilding out with the money, which is, let's be honest, a lot of what our pro-black men do, specifically whenever they leave a sport. Because they haven't been taught how to think and manage that money through their emotional intelligence, not just their financial intelligence. So whenever you are wilding out, spending all this money, and suddenly you don't have it, now where are your emotions? Right? You're depressed, you're freaking out, you're stressing out. And so it's important for us to realize that if we do not understand that our financial intelligence is 100% tied to our emotional intelligence, then we will not have the emotional intuitiveness to know when, say, you know what, that may not be the best decision right now. Maybe I can just save that $20 and put it into an account where I can eventually buy some stocks or some bonds. I'm a trader. I like investing in many, many things. I invest in real estate with some partners of mine. I do day trading every morning. I trade options, so I'm always looking at the way the market is going. I started trading options and trading stocks specifically because I wanted to learn more of the financial system. After my mentor schooled me, after I was arrogant talking about I know something, and he showed me that I didn't. I had no idea what type of business I had. I thought I had an education business. He's like, no, you have an intellectual properties business. And I'm like, what is intellectual property? I didn't even know what that was. So I had to go learn. And when I learned, I was like, dang, I need to just reset. I thought I was awesome. I'm just gonna go back to baby steps, and I'm gonna start learning financial literacy, and that's what got me into stocks and bonds and trading and mutual funds, because it started to make sense to me. I was like, oh, I get this now. Now that I've settled myself down, I humbled myself, I learned, but the main thing that he told me the whole time was check your emotions at every single transaction. Why are you buying this? Is it because you love it? Or is it because you feel scarce? And even with like clothing purchases, same thing. Do you love it? Trying to impress people? Do you really need it? Can you put it somewhere else? And then what about the kids? What about your kids, right? Where are their accounts? Why do you have all this stuff and you don't have no accounts for your kids? And I got upset with myself. I was like, you're right. What? I don't not have an account for my kids. And so again, the process of understanding how to gain financial wealth is specific education. Yes. And this is what you're going to get from a lot of the people that are going to be talking today. It's going to be the literature of how the system works. But that's not going to necessarily help you to make those decisions whenever you're feeling scarce. Whenever you're feeling like, I got to do something to make some money so I can pay these bills. So therefore, it's important that you do tune into that mind, that emotional body, before you go out and make decisions, because they will affect you long term. Now, one of the main things that really helps me to change the idea of my financial situation is always to recognize what am I doing, right? Like on a daily basis, I have a business, I have to be at that business. I have to find ways to get that business marketed out to Corpus. It's been very difficult coming from New York City. It's a whole other ballgame. And learning exactly where I fit in this city. So therefore, I have to go outside of the box. If I were to do what I thought I was supposed to be doing, we would fail. Because that market is not necessarily here in Corpus yet. Because, yeah, the culture is just kind of behind. No offense to you. It's just what it is. And so I had to find a new market. So what am I doing? First, if you're doing something to only make money and get rich, I guarantee you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. You're not going to be happy the entire way up. And it's going to be a sad, sick, pathetic situation because you are actually hurting your body when you do things like that. But if you were to do things in your passion, things that really fire you up, you guys know what enthusiasm means? Right? But you know where the word enthusiasm comes from? It's called entheos. And that broken down word means fire of God. So if you're not doing what makes you enthused, that fire of God that is built within every single one of us already as a DNA blueprint, then you are not living those talents out, right? So therefore, living in your entheos, in your enthusiasm, means that you have to do what you're passionate about, and I guarantee you a way to make money from that passion will come. I'm passionate about healing or teaching. I used to be passionate about music. Come to find out, that was also healing and teaching in the same way. But now that I'm in this position, I actually see that me teaching the anatomy, me speaking in public, me watching one of my patients get their arms up because they couldn't do for 6 months, fires me up. It's that enthusiasm, and I feel like on my spine, like a cool burning sensation that I can't even explain. If you felt it, you felt it. And it is what makes me excited about life. It is what gives me purpose and passion on this planet. So therefore, as I do it daily, it's a really big help for me to understand why I come here. And to not go into these other avenues of trying to do stuff that don't come from my heart. It's not about the money. The money will come. The education is what you definitely need. Let's not say like, oh, I'm just gonna do enthusiasm and not get no education. Nah, that's not how it works. You have to learn how this system works. You have to learn the literature. There are certain words in finance that we use in everyday life that mean something completely different in the financial world. And if you don't know that, you're gonna think deflation is inflation, and inflation is deflation. They're actually reversed in the financial world. So understanding this knowledge is very important. So take it in. But while you're taking it in, I also want you to tune into yourself as people are speaking today, because you will be inspired or triggered by some things. You may even hear something that just kind of be like, yeah, I don't want to listen to that. But that could be an avoidance that you just don't want to see, right? So really take it in. Really understand that today is about us building for our future. And my whole reason for really, being a part of this is not only for the community, but it is to help us understand that everything is all intertwined. And unless we deal with the self first, the other stuff is not going to come. So understand where you are in your life. Understand what you've been through. Move through that the best you can. Use all your faculties and all your resources to make sure that you can move through that in a safe manner. Learn everything that you need to know. Absorb knowledge like a fish does water. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Because knowledge is what?
Power.
See? And with that said, thank you very much for this time.
All right, everybody, let's thank Omar again for his honors. And I really appreciate his remarks and kind of setting the tone for what you're going to hear today and how you can take in and absorb the information. So before we get our first panel started, we're going to take just a quick break, about a 5-minute break. So feel free to use the restroom or grab, there's some donuts and some water and juice here if you want to grab something really quick. Give us about 5 minutes, come on back, and then we'll start our first panel. All right, thank you.